Co-hosts on this fabulous Friday. He is a retired admiral, former president of the Berkeley County Commission, Mr. Bill Stubblefield.
Good morning, Rob. Great to be here as always. Wonderful day.
Great to have you with us, Admiral.
You're a great man.
Thank you. I was just going to go home now.
Yeah, just we'll stay with the greats and let it go.
Yeah, just if I'm going to start with a compliment from you, then I'm done.
You're done for the day. Then there's John Gilstrap.
Yeah, bring it back down now. Yeah, what do you got there? That's not as good. He is a New York Times best-selling author, retired firefighter, and safety engineer. When he grows up, he wants to be an astronaut. Mr. John Gilstrap.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you.
Great to have you.
That's one of those empty greetings. Hi, how are you?
Good morning, Mr. Gilstrap. How's life treating you?
It's all right.
Oh,
that's right. I'm ready. I'm ready for cooler weather. It looks cooler outside than it actually is. I'm done with summer. I'm ready for it to be cold.
Well, it's definitely wetter.
Yeah.
Right? The summer is over. It's fall, baby. Enjoy all of the autumnal equinox you've got coming. I've got a neighbor across the cul-de-sac from me, and they've got a cherry tree, and in August, it gives up its leaves like that. It's the first sign of fall in our area when my neighbor Carol Ann's tree drops its leaves. And it's a big old cherry tree. And when it drops its leaves, there are brown leaves all over the cul-de-sac. It's the strangest thing. Now, I've got a lot of oak trees in my back, right? And they have dropped acorns like crazy over the last 2 weeks. And I looked that up because there's always the old farmers' wives' tale about what's that bad winter, good winter. And apparently all it means is the tree is stressed from a dry summer and it needs to ditch the acorns in order to preserve energy.
Is that true with walnuts as well? Because there's an abundance of walnuts this year.
You may be right.
Yeah.
I only looked it up for acorns because I don't have walnut trees. I got oak trees in my backyard.
Yeah. But it would make sense as well because that every 3 or 4 years you just have a preponderance of walnuts, and this is one of those years.
Yeah, I've got thousands of acorns in my backyard, and the squirrels aren't eating them because they got full up on eating all my tomato plants. Yeah.
And I think I think the squirrels are vindictive because they're throwing these things at my dog.
Let's welcome in our first guest. He is a senator out of the 7th Senatorial District, Logan County, Rupie Phillips. Senator Phillips, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, gentlemen from the South.
Any tales of acorns, walnuts, or squirrels bugging you right now, Rupie?
Well, we've got plenty of walnuts, plenty of acorns, and the wild game loves it.
They do. They would seem to. At least I've got a lot of deer and a lot of squirrels that want to feast on whatever's in my backyard. So they've got a buffet of acorns for the next couple months to keep them busy, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Senator, let's take a look at a couple of things economically in the state if we could. And I want to go to this real gross domestic product by county, years 2020 to 2023. And I look and I see that there's a small group of counties that are carrying the state economically. And when I look at those counties, I see Berkeley, Cabell, Harrison, Kanawha, Monongalia, Ohio, and Wood counties. Is that a concern for the legislature that the state is so top-heavy with its GDP?
Well, you got to look, too. A lot of people forget what the South has done for the whole state as far as the coal severance and the income tax that coal has created over decades of years. So we can't forget the South. We still have coal in the South, and we're still pumping along. We're in a little downturn, but coal has always been up and down. But it is a concern. We want all 55 counties to do good. But, the thing is, there is jobs out there, but trying to get people to go to work is another problem.
Why is that a problem?
Well, when the government is paying $65,000, $75,000 a year for a family to be on government assistance, why do you want to go to work for $12 an hour?
I'm going to assume that comes mostly from the federal government and not from the state?
Well, mostly federal government, but some of the state, which is federal dollars too when you get down to it. But we have to encourage people to get off government assistance and go to work. As Kennedy said, not ask what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country, and it's as simple as getting a job.
And in regards to putting jobs in some of these counties which are perhaps considered depressed around the state, how do you accomplish that?
Well, I mean, that's I guess you could say that's the magical question that everybody likes to have the answer to. I don't know. I mean, I know like Logan County DOH had interviews, and I think they had 8 on the schedule and only 3 showed up. So how do we get people to show up for the job interviews?
So you're saying even if you could locate jobs in those counties, companies that would hire at a good wage, you don't think people would show up?
Well, I mean, I think everybody wants to be in the 6 figures, and that's not doable. So again, when we're sitting here, people on government assistance getting, with their insurance and SNAP benefits and so forth, and they're making $65,000-$75,000 a year, not even working. What incentives are we giving them to go to work?
Is that an actual amount of money that households are taking in on what you call relief?
I think time you look at their health care and everything, add everything up, it's my understanding. And that was several years ago that I was given that figure. Not honest, today probably might be more. I don't know.
And is that a typical household of 4 or 5 people?
I think 3 to 4.
How much of the drug epidemic, how much of this is attributable to that?
Well, that I've often wondered, how does people on government assistance afford drugs? I've never been able to figure that out. And it seems like the poverty areas is more stricken by the drugs. And, it'd be nice if we could figure that one out. And I do like us trying to, the closing the border and basically blowing up the drugs coming into this country. I think we just got to cut the head off to the snake.
Have you considered any of the daycare issues that have been raised as a concern, as a reason for why people don't go to work?
What was the reason back in the 70s and 80s?
One parent was at home much of the time?
Well, my parents weren't. My mom and dad divorced in the 70s. My mom worked, my dad worked, my stepmom worked, my stepdad worked.
Who took care of the kids?
We took care of ourselves.
How old were you when you were taking care of yourself?
4th grade, when mom and dad divorced.
What about the younger ones?
I was the younger one.
In what grade?
3rd grade.
3rd grade. So let's say you've got newborns, though. This is something that's gotten brought up on this show. And if I have newborn children, what do I do with them if mom and dad are working and there's nobody else, and I can't afford the daycare?
Parents, family. That's down in the South. That's what we do is family take care of family.
Well,
but now we've made excuses for people not to go to work.
I don't know if not having daycare is an excuse. Not everybody has family. It's a reason, right? Is it not a reason? If daycare costs $1,500, $2,000 a month for 1 or maybe even 2 kids, depending on where you are, or if daycare is not even available?
It depends on what you want to do and what your job is. What's your priorities?
Well, if I got kids, my priorities is finding a way to take care of my kids, right?
Exactly.
I got to do something with them when I go to work. What do I do with them?
Are you a single parent? Have you ever been a single parent?
Have I been a single parent?
Yes, sir.
No.
Then how can you even sit and justify even arguing this point?
I don't get your point, Rupie.
Well, I'm just saying that people need to make their decisions on what they want to do. Do they want to be a parent? Do they want to work? Or do both? Myself, I work. I've got a daughter. Me and her mom, we both worked. When she was first born, her mom and dad would watch her. My dad and stepmom would watch her. So you figure out what you're going to do. But depending on the government to pay for you to have daycare, I'm sorry, I'm not a supporter of that.
Rupie, this is John Gilstrap. I'm kind of hearing a projection of hopelessness here. If
Well, no, but when is the point we grow up?
well, what is the solution though? I mean, if we have obvious,
Guys, I don't know the solution. All I can tell you is, if I need more money, I work more.
but let me ask the whole question here. As a legislator, the state depends upon you and your colleagues to formulate some kind of a solution. So if we obviously people
so
people
now
need
government's got to be the babysitter.
people need to pay their bills. Obviously, people need to not starve. So if what is the way that you see to get people to go to work? If we give you the magic wand that we just get you get to do it your way, right? You don't have to collaborate with your colleagues. You just get to say, okay, this is how we're going to fix the problem. How do you fix the problem to get people to go to work?
I feel there's a lot of single mothers out there that make it work because they have the drive in them to do it. But to depend on the government to fix that solution, I don't think it's the government that should have to do that problem.
And what are they making work? There's
single
mothers who make it work. What are they making work?
Single mothers that are sacrificing, time with their kids to go to work and being able to afford health care daycare. So they can make it work. But I don't think it's the government's problem. Every time we turn around, okay, the government, I get people sit and say, we want less government, less government. Now you're telling me, wait a minute, how come you ain't fixing this problem? I thought we want less government.
There's two parts to this, and you're highlighting. This is Bill Stubblefield, by the way, Senator.
Okay.
There's two parts to it. One, the people the part that you're painting, the individual that do not work or do not want to work because they have government assistance. In your terms, I think excessive government assistance. But what about no jobs? And there's several sections of our state where there are no jobs available. What do the folks do there?
You're hearing there are no jobs.
Yeah, I'm hearing there's no jobs. Yes, from a lot of different folks that live there.
I go around and I see posts, things, signs up. We're hiring. You need to probably travel to 55 counties to really justify that comment.
Senator, I have driven to all 55 counties, and
in the last 2 months.
No, certainly not the last 2 months. No, okay. I have not been, and I yield to that. I've not been doing the last 2 months.
I'm sure you have in your life, just like me. In my life, I have too. I haven't been up to Berkeley County in quite a while.
I thought one of the reasons we wanted to get in this discussion today was the data centers and
Well, that's why. That's what I was trying to figure out. How did we get on daycare?
Well, we started because you were saying that you've got jobs that are posted and nobody's showing up for them, but there's people who need jobs. So we were looking for reasons why people weren't showing up for interviews, and you said because they're getting too much government assistance.
Exactly. Well, I've got a friend. He's got a restaurant. He's down to only 4 days a week because he can't get staff.
Yeah, I think that's a universal problem. I don't think that's in the southern end of the state.
But I'm just giving one place.
Yeah, and I brought up the daycare issue because that was a reason cited in a survey that was done that we did an interview about not all that long ago, was that folks didn't want to. We're going to go right back around dog chasing a tail, and I want to do that again because that's not really what we wanted to talk about here.
But I just voiced my personal opinion.
Yeah. So that's a contentious issue. So we're going to stay away from that at the moment because I want to get back to data centers and the means of powering those data centers because of an article that we read in regards to Mingo County and some opposition to a potential data center in Mingo County. And this is the reason why we wanted to bring you on the program to talk about weighing the concerns of the community versus the state's desire to increase the number of data centers for tax revenue.
Well, I'm glad we're on this subject. You take Virginia, where they got 524, 526 data centers. The bulk of them are in Loudoun County, one of the most liberal counties on the East Coast, if not the country. And they're polluted with them, and they're right up against, neighborhoods. I mean, you fly into Dulles, you fly right over them, you see them. They're just big buildings up there. They make them look nice and fancy, like they're part of the landscape. Down in Mingo County, I haven't been involved because that's not my district. But it's also my understanding, I'm not sure that there's a data center lined up for. I think what they're trying to do is figure out the energy side of it. And it's my understanding this gentleman has some generators that could burn from diesel, gas, biomass, natural gas. And if I'm not mistaken, TC Energy has about a 36-inch gas line that runs right through there, and they plan on using natural gas on these generators. The water for a data center would be, my understanding, would come from the old Mountaineer longwall mines, which is deep in the ground. That's miles and miles of underground, and that is flooded with water. They're going to pull it from one end of the mines and pump it back into the other end of the mines. And the water would cool itself off by just basically circulating. I mean, sort of like, you ever been around a nuclear plant? My grandparents lived at Lake Anna in right outside of Richmond. The nuclear plant pulled from the main lake, dumped into one small lake, and then that lake dumped into another lake, and then that one dumped into another one, then it dumped into the main body of the lake, and basically it was a cooling process from small lake to small lake to small lake back into the big lake. And it's basically the same process my understanding that they're going to do over in Mingo County if they can land a data center.
How likely are data centers to come to West Virginia from what you've seen at this time? Are there any that are imminent? Well,
talking to some people that, from the energy sector, I've been told that they've had a lot of inquiries from data center companies, and they're very interested in West Virginia. They really don't care where the power comes from as long as they got power 99.9% of the time. So a lot of people are a little confused on this microgrid bill. Some thought that, these data center people thought they had to have a microgrid to put a data center in. They don't. And the bill didn't need to happen if Google wanted to come in here and put a data center in with a microgrid. They didn't need no type of legislation to do, but they couldn't have sold that power to a widget factory or back any to the grid. That's what the bill did. And I was the sole no vote in the Senate, and for the main reason, you take AEP, they have 4 coal-fired power plants, and John Amos being the biggest one of 2,950 megawatts, last year it was only burnt 36% of the time. So until we get the coal-fired power plants up to 75% of the year running, then I won't support nothing else, because that's jobs in the South. It's jobs even up in the northern Panhandle, even over at Matiki, over around the Maryland border. So, we've got an abundant supply of power that we need to burn. And as I tell everybody, with those coal-fired power plants not burning, there's still a fixed cost on them that the ratepayers have to pay for them to sit there not running. And so that's why I was the no vote in the Senate.
But isn't the issue of using Tucker and Mingo County? A lot of the residents do not want this for pollution and other reasons. Let me finish my question, please, Senator.
Okay.
And the Tucker and Mingo County, they do not want it because of the pollution issue, air pollution, water pollution, and the like. The flip side of the argument is the governor's made this for the betterment of the state. We need this for the economy of the state. So you have two opposing positions, one from the local, one from the state. How do you resolve the precedent between these two?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I talked to the Senate President, Randy Smith, which is from Tucker County, and I've talked to some individuals, not saying names, down in Mingo County, and Senator Smith told me that up in Tucker County, the bulk of the people that come in there and complained are not even from West Virginia. And the same thing down in Mingo County. These out-of-staters are coming in here telling the people in Mingo County, walking house to house, knocking on the door, spreading their lies, and they're from Washington State. They're from Ohio. They're not from Mingo County. And this is the same people that shut the coal jobs down in southern West Virginia are coming here spewing this garbage again to the locals. But what really is funny, they talk about diesel generators. Under each windmill is a diesel generator. And when that windmill's not producing, they turn on the generator. If they bid in at X amount of power they're going to sell to the grid, if they don't produce it on wind, then they got to turn the generator on. If they don't turn the generator on, PGM has to buy it somewhere else at a higher price. So I don't see these folks up here protesting these windmills because they got generators.
Senator Rupie Phillips, our guest here on the program. We've got just a couple of minutes left here. So
yes, sir.
In regards to data centers, does a community have the right to reject a data center, or if the state says it's going in your county, it's going in? And I know you said some of the protesters from out of state and whatever, but let's assume that it's in county and they don't want the data center in their county.
If the bulk of the people spoke up, but when you're feeding them a bunch of lies from out-of-staters coming in here, I have to reevaluate it and rethink it. I mean, that's just my belief on it. I mean, everybody's wanting more. They want us to go in there and fix more roads. They want us to fix bridges. Well, guys, we have to have some type of income coming in.
Tax revenue's got to come from somewhere, right?
Tax revenue's got to come from somewhere. And like I said, go back to Virginia. Why weren't all of these protesters from Ohio and Washington in Virginia protesting? I mean, it just blows my mind. It's like they don't want the poorer counties to come up out of being poor. And so I think the data center in Mingo County is good. I mean, you look coming from John Amos through southern West Virginia, I don't know how many counties, probably 6-7 counties, that there's 756,000 volt line stretched from John Amos all the way to, I think, Richmond or Roanoke. We could tap into that. It needs some infrastructure, some substations and stuff to bring it down to what the data center would need. But they're stretching across, reclaimed strip mines. I mean, it's a good location. It's on top of that. And by the way, guys, these
10 seconds.
the data center and the generators that you're talking about, the microgrid, is on top of the mountain. No houses.
Right. Senator Phillips, thank you very much. I appreciate your time this morning.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too. And